evening, everybody. I am your host, Felicity, and welcome to the Penguin Teen Spring 21 preview show. Tonight, we're going to be talking about some of your upcoming, most anticipated books, giving you a little insider information, and basically making sure you've got your most important TBR up to date. What is a TBR? To be read pile, stack, shelf, however you like to do it. We're ready for it. So I'm just going to make sure that I can see everybody's comments first. For those of you who joined us for our trivia on Wednesday night, first of all, thank you, because we did it during the night when, YouTube crashed. I like to think it's because we actually made YouTube crash, but I don't actually think that's true. Either way, I am just going to make sure I can see that your comments are on so that I can answer all the questions as you're sending them in to us all. Of course, now I can't find the comment button. There it is, comments and reactions. Yay! I see 3 people are in there. That's good. That's enough for me. I have a lot of special guests tonight, a lot of Penguin Teen staff, but my very first special guest I want to introduce is from an upcoming book, and when I say upcoming, I mean 3 days away. I want to introduce David Yoon of Super Fake Love Song and Frankly in Love fame.
Hello.
Hey, Mr. Yoon.
Hello.
How are you?
Felicity.
Good to see you.
Hi.
Do you want me to do the very professional, important introduction? Because I can. Ready? I'm going to do it.
Oh, sure, yes.
I'm going to do it to be
I'll touch my face.
I'm going to do it to be a proper journalist. All right, you ready? David Yoon grew up in Orange County, California, and now lives in Los Angeles with his wife, novelist Noelle Lee, and their daughter. He drew illustrations for Noelle's #1 bestseller New York Times, Everything, Everything. He's the author of the New York Times bestseller, Frankly in Love, which was a William C. Morris Award finalist and an Asian Pacific American Award for Young Adult Literature honor book. And you can visit him at davidyoon.com. Hey, how's that for an introduction?
That was impressive. It makes me sound official and everything.
Well, you are official because you're a pretty big deal these days. We are 3 days away. 3 days away from Super Fake Love Song. If someone that book, look, I got one too. Hey.
I'm gonna hold it real still. I know it doesn't feel real. It's crazy.
Well, if someone had never, if someone had never heard a thing about this book before, give us the what is Super Fake Love Song.
The key word is fake, or super fake, because it's about this kid. His name is Sonny. This is Sonny right here. It's Sonny. He's super nerdy, like painfully nerdy, and he meets Cirrus, who is uber, super duper, mega cool, and he's so just dazzled by her, and so totally insecure that he sort of lets her believe that he's a rock star, and doesn't correct her, and he says, yeah, I'm a rock star, and she buys it, and it's a problem because now he has to follow through with it and actually become the persona that he says he is. And to make matters more complicated, like the persona he's taking on is actually that of his big brother, who is really the rock star in the family. And they're a little bit estranged. So there's some other stuff going on, but at heart it's a rom-com. Like, just really, I think Entertainment Weekly called it frothy. And I was like, fizzy, which is perfect.
Fizzy's a really nice,
and fun, and and 2020 is what it was. Let's have some laughs now because we can all use a laugh. That's what this is all about.
This is absolutely the book that you just need to escape into some good, fun times. I will say that first of all, for everybody at home who's not, this is the finished book. It's got a map, which for contemporary you don't see. But look at this; it has its own map, which is amazing. First of all, tell me all about the map.
Well, I need to thank everyone at Penguin Teen for indulging me because I was like, I really wanted a fantasy-style map because Sonny is a huge Dungeons and Dragons nerd, and he's into LARPing. You know what LARPing is? It's like when you actually dress up as your character, you cosplay in the woods, and you act out your attacks, and it's about the nerdiest thing that you can imagine, basically. And so that's his whole world. He's bullied. He's very insecure. He's a sad nerd, not like Frank Lee and Frankly in Love, who was a happy nerd. He's not. He's the opposite, and so he hides within his world. That's his refuge. And that's why I was like, I got to draw a map. Please let me draw a map. And everyone at Penguin was cool with it. And I was like, yes. So it's a
So
map of Southern California. And my favorite part is Gardena. When you get the book, you'll see why.
yeah, and I will say some people in the comments are saying they've seen it in the bookstore today, which is like exciting. So there's some early copies out there. Yes. So I'm just saying.
So
But
you can
wait,
go to bookstores?
you can actually
That's
still go
great.
to bookstores and some, obviously with your mask on and you stay social distance and you do all the right things.
Yes.
But this baby. Now, wait a second. Did I not know that you drew this map? Maybe.
It's if you look in the corner, you'll see David Yoon in teeny weeny letters.
I,
Yeah, I
oh, I
did draw
see
the
it
map.
now.
I spent a couple of weeks because I just couldn't help myself, and I was just like, I need to make fun of Southern California. I need to sort of make fun of D&D, and throw in a little metal flavor in there just to like set it up. I don't know. I just wanted to have some fun with it. This
Well,
book is like was so much fun to write, and I was kind of giggling as I wrote it. And Nikki was like, she was like, sort of throwing the book at me as I was writing it. She's like, because the humor is so silly and dumb, but
it's not
hopefully in a
dumb.
good way.
It's not dumb.
Because I was just, it was just a tough year. You know what I mean? You feel
Yeah.
me, right? It's a tough year. Like we should be doing this in person.
I know. We
So
should be
let's have
doing
some
this in
fun.
person. I know, and I think what I loved about this book, you're right, is it's fun and funny. And I think when people sort of hear mistaken identity, they sometimes think, well, he's lying to her. That's terrible. But it really is a case of mistaken identity. And then you just can't get out of it. Every time you want to, like, he sees an opportunity to get out of it, the door closes before he can kind of get through it. And I think you did it so
And think about it.
well.
Well, it's like if you're trying to impress someone and you're like really insecure and they're like, "Oh, are you an artist?" and you just blurt in the heat of the moment. You're like, yeah, yeah," and then you're totally screwed because you can say, "I was lying," weird, or you can follow through with it and then dig a hole as deep as like to the center of the earth, and that's terrible too. There's no winning. There's no like good outcome.
No. And
So
once it gets out, you're right. You can't really. There's no good way to backtrack on it. I actually told you a lie just now. There's no good way. So you kind of hope that like you'll find a better way down the path. Current you thinks future you will
what
solve
else
that
are you
problem.
lying about? Yeah.
Well, but also I think the other part of the other part of the book that I loved was the relationship between the family with Sonny and Gray and his sibling relationship in terms of like the life that you think you have and the life that you really have are often really two different things, and they both experience that in such different ways. Have you obviously? I don't know, Dave Yoon, if you've been a rock star, but it felt like at times you had some skills. But that's the joy of being a fiction writer.
I mean, I was in a metal band in high school. It was like we weren't very good, but whatever. I mean, it was like mostly I was thinking about how basically all of us, to some extent, are faking it till we make it.
Mm-hmm.
Especially kids of immigrants, but really everybody. You talk to your spouse differently than you talk to your kids, than you talk to your boyfriend, girlfriend, teacher. You're constantly code switching, and it's sort of like a famous, well-known theme in America, especially, is you call yourself the thing you want to become,
Mm-hmm.
and then you slowly become that. So it actually works, but there is a big element of faking it till you make it. So Sonny's older brother, whose name is Gray, is faking it till he makes it in Hollywood as a rock star. Sonny's parents are faking it till they make it to, keep up with the Joneses in this very exclusive, very upscale neighborhood. Everyone's got their own little secret. Both of Sonny's friends are faking it till they make it to a certain degree. But everyone's got a little something going on. And I really wanted to get into the relationship between Sonny and his older brother, especially because I find it interesting when your relationship with your sibling kind of ebbs and flows, and you're close and then you're not close anymore, and you look up to them and then something happens and you don't look up to them anymore. And there's a happy, sad sort of wave that happens. And I wanted to explore that between Sonny and Gray, because I have an older brother and I looked up to him when I was a little, and I still do. And so I wanted to sort of bring some of that into the mix. You know me, I'm like pretty obsessed with combating toxic masculinity.
I
with
know, I
healthy
love it so much.
depictions of yeah, that's my hill to die on. So that part of it is like sibling between two brothers,
Hmm.
that relationship, exploring that, and seeing what happens when the person you look up to maybe changes and then changes back, and then you change and you change back, and how the push and pull of that relationship was
Yeah.
really fascinating too. But to be sure, this is a rom-com.
Oh yeah.
Emphasis on the on
Yeah.
the rom too. Yeah, sure.
Oh, there's definitely it's the calm is there because also like his friends are hilarious. Jamil and Milo are just there was all these scenes. I was like their friendship was so delightful that I just wanted to be like friends with them too.
Well, I wanted to write like I was like, what are the dumbest jokes I can write in a book? I just that was my chance. Like, get the stupidest jokes I can, and I had an awesome moment on a panel with Neil Shusterman, who wrote the Scythe series.
Mm.
He's written like literally 3,000 books, and he said, "You're the guy who wrote Super Fake Love Song," and I was like, "I am," and he said, "That was laugh out loud funny. I laughed my butt off, like literally, I had to go get
Whoa!
surgery." And I was like, I was like, oh,
Can we
I'm
put
done.
that?
I can
Is it
stop
too
writing.
late? Is it too late to put that on the book quote? Neil Schusterman. I laughed my
I
butt
laughed
off.
my butt off.
I had to get surgery. I want that. I want that on a T-shirt. That is amazing. I want to ask a question.
Yeah, I
Obviously,
was starstruck.
last year was massive with Franklin Love. Huge, huge release for you, but it was your debut novel. What's it like the second time in the writing process, in the like getting out to the world? Are you less nervous now, or is it still like ball of nerves?
I was nervous. Yeah, totally. It's why do we write? Why some Nikki and I will just Nicola, you and my wife and I will just we'll sit there and we'll be like, why are we doing this? Why did we choose this profession? Because it's she was going through it too with her second book before she was writing The Sun Is Also a Star. The Sun Is Also a Star.
I know. I was going to say, excuse
uh,
me.
yeah, that's the actual artwork for the book cover. It's thread and needles
It's
all threaded
gorgeous.
together on a board. It's very cool. But yeah, you're constantly wondering, is it going to be as good? But then the point really is like it can't be as good. You're comparing two different books,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
and so you have to let the book sort of stand on its own. And I wrote, frankly, in this sort of perfect state where I didn't know what I was doing really. I was just writing because I wanted to write the story. I had to get it out. Um, and I had no context. I wasn't like worrying about an audience because there was no audience, and I wasn't worrying about, any like what the editor would say because there was no editor yet. Um, and so I tried to put myself back into that mind space as much as I could.
Mm-hmm.
So honestly, I mean, meditation helps, and like doing stuff you used to do when you were a kid, like playing video games and building Lego. Like get yourself back into when you were little and you didn't care what people thought and you just did cool stuff um, without a deadline or without expectation. That's like my favorite state of being, and that sort of is why Sonny is the way he is. Is he's a huge nerd because he loves what he loves
Mm-hmm.
and he can't help but pursue the thing that he loves, which is to make awesome props for LARPers. So like a bubble gun and a glitter bomb and electro like fingers and stuff like that. And that's why I'm sort of obsessed with nerds, is because they unselfconsciously pursue their passions. They just can't help themselves. They can't help themselves so much that they don't care what other people think. It goes against social norms, and still they can't help themselves, which I really admire.
I was going to say, and what was it like? Because the some of the descriptions you were talking about in the book with the laughing and the costumes that Sunny designs were amazing. Did you interview anybody in that world, or did you just like kind of feel like you knew it because you're a bit of a nerd yourself?
I mean, I'm kind of a nerd myself.
And I mean that. I mean that in the nicest possible way because I love you, David,
I
and your
mean,
nerdy nature.
oh yeah, me and my brother and our two buddies in like middle school and high school, we would play Dungeons and Dragons around their pool table and lower the lights. And my brother was the DM or the dungeon master. Um, and uh, and yeah, we got so good we were like killing gods at one point. We built our own
Whoa.
castles, and then my brother and his friend got more interested in girls than D&D, so then the whole thing kind of fell apart. But over the years, like I've been invited to go LARPing. I would go to Ren Fair, if you know what that is.
Yes, no, I do
It's
know what that is.
yeah, and yeah, so I'm like, it's just sort of always there. It's always there, and I just love it because the people are not afraid to dress up and sort of
Hmm.
risk being made fun of. It's a risky position to put yourself in. There's all these automatons out there, like you must be a certain way, you
Hmm.
must dress a certain way, and they flaunt all that, which I really admire.
Yeah, 100%. Well, it's also, as you said, it's a com, but there's a lot. There's rom in there, and as a part of what are probably YA's most romantic super couples, known for their romantic books, obviously. Um, do you guys ever like? Is it ever? Do you ever like? Do you read each other's work? Like, how does it work in terms of like? Are you ever afraid you might like out romance each other? Like at the end of the day, it's like, oh god, I'm so sick of being romantic to you. Blah.
We're like that annoying couple. We're
Oh.
always touching and kissing. It's like we're like that. Our wedding photographer is like, "You guys are the kissiest couple I've ever photographed," and we're like, "Thank you very much. That's a compliment." And I read all of her stuff first. She reads all of my stuff first, and you know, there's a romantic moment in her book, and I'm like, "Oh, that's good. That's good. That's gonna get him." You know,
Do you ever be
or something.
like,
I'll think of something romantic, and I'll tell her, and then I'm like, I have dibs. Okay, you can't use that
I was gonna ask, like, do you ever like say you can't have this romantic moment that we've just shared? I want it from my stuff.
all the time. Well, yeah, we have a running list in our heads. Like, you can't use that. It's off limits. I called it. I licked it first.
I can just imagine you guys at anniversary dinner going, nope, you can't have it. It's mine. It's mine. Well, it's a big year for you this year with the release, and then also next year. I'm going to let you, because we are talking about 21 books. I want to hear a little bit. You've had some news. You've got an adult book coming out next year.
I do.
I'm going
Yeah,
to let you.
that's
I'm going to let you talk about it on Penguin Teen. Tell
all
us
right.
about the
Pretty
adult book.
different. It's pretty different. It's called Version Zero, and it's a thriller about the internet. So it's about these 20 something, 30 something um, uh, tech entrepreneurs really, who want to start their own company and like fix the problems of the internet, which are many, and they get invited by this reclusive, sort of slightly psychopathic Mark Zuckerberg type. Steve Jobs and Mark Zuckerberg kind of all smashed into one, and he says, "I can help you." And so they go about sort of getting the big five internet companies to atone for their sins against humanity. And yeah, it's dark. It's not YA for sure.
So we're going to
I
basically
mean,
say that
I like to
we're going to be like we
I like to
see.
think about YA as like. Wait, say it again.
No, go. You go.
There's a lag.
Oh no, you
Okay.
go.
I like to think about YA as like all hope and potential about stuff that we kind of already know about, you know.
Hmm.
Um, and I like to think about adult as the stuff we haven't figured out yet because it's still happening. And the jury is very much out on, is the internet a good thing? It's like, I don't know. I mean, are we better off now than we were before? So there's that happening. And then the other exciting news is the Imprint, which is it's called Joy Revolution, which me and Nikki started. And it's something we've been wanting to do forever, because we literally grew up with no one who looked like us
Hmm.
in romantic leads, in books or kind of anything. And so one of our big dreams was to have a safe haven for POC specifically to like read stories and just sort of be um, allowed the full breadth of their humanity,
Yeah.
without, like, for instance, like Asian characters are always the triad, or like they're doing kung fu, and black characters are always like, it's always like police brutality, and those are very important stories. We need to have those, but there's a lack of a different kind of story that's being told, and we wanted to fill that gap.
Yeah.
So yeah, the first books hopefully will come out in 2022. Um, we're looking for an editor, and we're putting a logo together and stuff. So it's really, really fun, really exciting.
I can't wait to see what you guys put
More
out.
love stories.
I was gonna say it's gonna be
Yeah.
like I'm hoping it's like love stories and all the good things that we know and love from both of you.
Oh yeah. I mean, the logo is literally a heart in a little shelter.
Aww.
So
See,
that
that's
encapsulates
beautiful.
it.
Well, for everyone who's asking, Super Fake Love Song comes out this Tuesday the 17th. And guess what? You can still enter the Penguin Teen pre-order competition, where if you have pre-ordered this, you upload your receipt, and you get a really cool pop socket that's like the cover. It's like a record. So it will be very handy to have, because we're all watching everything on our phones these days. So a couple more days to go for this one. And don't forget, I have to show it one more time, this gorgeous map. Like,
Oh,
no, it's just that you never see maps in contemporary books. And I just think it's so beautiful. And just, I think the book's just gorgeous all round. I know, it's amazing. And then Conversion, was it Conversion?
I know, it's so sad.
Comes out.
Version 0.
Version 0. When's that come out?
That's in May 2021.
Okay.
So actually not that far away.
No, it's really not.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
That's all we've got time for, Mr. Yoon. You are done for the night. Thank you so much for joining us on our little preview show.
It's so good to see you.
You will be a lot on, if you're a Penguin Teen follower, which you should be on Instagram and all the fun things, you will see Dave a lot this week on the channels with some special guests. But stand by for lots more to come from Mr. Yoon. And thank you for joining us tonight on our preview show, Dave.
Thanks for having me. It's good to see everybody.
Okay. Bye.
All right. Bye.
Oh, Mr. Yoon, he's so delightful and lovely. Oh, and his book, Super Fake, one more time, is out this Tuesday. It's so good. And especially, as Dave said, in these times, it's like, it's cold, it's wintry, maybe where you are. You want to read this. This is fun. So, but that's not all. You've come to the Spring 21 preview show. You're going to want to hear about Spring 21 books. So I'm going to introduce you to the rest of the team one by one. Let's do it. We have the lovely James from Penguin Teen. Some of you might know him from Recca Reads. We've got Amanda, also from Penguin Teen, and she's on our retail marketing team. And we've got Liana, who's also from Penguin Teen, and she's also on our retail marketing team. So basically, if you were at Yale Write or Yale Fest, as it's called when it's live, at some point this weekend, in the normal times, you would have seen one of these lovely people at the booth, and you would have been able to ask them questions about upcoming books and really engage with them. So when we can't do it in person, we're going to do it on the YouTubes, to your face. So basically, we're going to go through chronologically all the books that are coming out that we think you should definitely have on your TBR or should know about and just be interested in. Leave us comments in the chat, and we can definitely answer them as well. And otherwise, let's get to this. So the first one is my book. Not my book, I didn't write this, but Winterkeep, Graceling series by Kristen Cashore, beloved fantasy series, is back. After 5 years, Bitter Blue has been ruling the kingdom, and now peace doesn't necessarily reign. So this is, if you're a fan of things like Court of Thorn and Roses, this is the high fantasy, very romantic, very, dare I say, sexy series that you must be addicted to. The first book is Graceling, the second book is Fire, the third book is Bitter Blue, and Winterkeep will come out this January, and it's sold over 1.3 million copies. And while the first three you thought it was over, it's just begun. So that's Winterkeep, and now I'll pass to James.
Hey everyone, I'm very excited to be sharing about Last Night at the Telegraph Club by Melinda Lowe. This is a female-female historical romance set in 1954 San Francisco, and Lily, whom you might be able to see on the book's cover, she's the girl dressed in the red skirt, is a 17-year-old Chinese-American teen who realizes she has a crush on one of her classmates, Kathleen. Lily and Kath begin to explore their feelings for each other while sneaking out to a lesbian bar called the Telegraph Club. But America in 1954 isn't a safe place for two girls to fall in love, and Lily is soon caught between being who her family thinks she is and being true to herself. This is a gripping and heart-pounding story of love, duty, and found family, and it's also one of my most anticipated 2021 books. And next up, we're going to have Amanda share about the next book on our list.
Hi, everyone. One of the most compelling books I've read for the upcoming season is The Girls I've Been by Tess Sharp. This book is one part heist, one part love story, and at its heart, the story of a survivor. It's a melding of genres that come together in a truly addicting read. Nora, not her real name, is the daughter of a con artist, but she's left that life behind her. Now, she's a senior in high school with a new girlfriend and an ex-boyfriend who's her best friend. And aside from that regular teenage drama, life is good. But then the three of them are taken hostage while depositing money at a bank. And Nora realizes that if she wants to outwit the bank robbers and save them all, she'll need to confront her past and use all her con artist skills. But bringing up the past is hard, and if her plan doesn't work, it just might be her undoing. Or it will be the thing that lets her reckon with her grief and start over once and for all. And now I'll pass it off to Liana.
So if you guys love Jenny Han and the Great British Baking Show, we have your next read. In A Taste for Love by Jennifer Yen, high school senior Liza Yang agrees to help out at her mother's bakery annual junior competition to prove that she's more than just her rebellious self. And she's all about it until she realizes all of the contestants are young Asian American men her mother has handpicked for Liza to date. Soon, Liza finds herself attracted to one of the contestants, and as she battles against her feelings for him and for her mother's approval, Liza begins to realize there is no tried and true recipe for love. A Taste for Love is a delicious rom-com about first love, familial expectations, and of course, making the perfect vow. We're so excited to satisfy your sweet tooth with this one. And now I'll pass it over to James.
Next up, we have The Electric Kingdom, which is David Arnold's first dystopian novel. A pandemic has ravaged the globe, and among the survivors are a few teenagers whose paths intertwine as they seek out sanctuary in what's left of New England. In a world gone dark, they must rely on each other to find the temerity to survive. This is Station 11 meets the Fifth Wave, and it's perfect for sci-fi and dystopian fans who are looking for that one glimmer of hope in a world where all signs are pointed in the other direction. Also, it has a dog on the cover, which is something, in my opinion, we always need more of in YA. And now over to Felicity.
All right, this one I am so excited about. It is the epic conclusion to the Seafire trilogy, which is basically like Mad Max, Fury Road, meets Pirates of the Caribbean, and it's starring Caledonia Sticks, who's going to risk everything, because this time it's all on the line. And the evil that she thought she defeated in Arik, he's dead, but there are people who are not, other people who are worse who are not. Caledonia and her crew have had to flee to Cloudbreak to prepare for the upcoming war, but they're not the only ones. And so with rogue ships out there and a few other defecting bullets coming to their side to join the fight, it looks like the final epic conclusion to Stormbreak is going to be an all-out battle royale. If you love the first two books, this has got to be on your TBR already. But if you haven't, this is the perfect time to jump in and binge read this series now, as this book is coming really soon next year. I'm going to hand back to James for another exciting series conclusion.
So I only recently became a fan of the Miss Peregrine series, but if you're thinking about getting into the series yourself, now is your chance. The Desolations of Devil's Acre is the sixth and final book in the Peregrine series, which launched almost 10 years ago, which is honestly crazy to think about. And it has all the dark fantasy and weird vibes that you might be looking for. And I do mean weird as the highest compliment. I won't give away spoilers for the previous books in the series, so all that I'll say is that our hero, Jacob Portman, and the other peculiar children must protect the fate of all peculiars everywhere, as an old enemy that they long thought vanquished has returned. And next up, we have Amanda to talk about another of our fantasy releases next year.
Thanks, James. So I don't know about you, but I love a fantasy with good world building. I like when I can feel that I can see the map in my head, understand the customs, get the rules. The Queen's Assassin, which came out last year by New York Times bestselling author Melissa de la Cruz, has some seriously good world building. In her first book, we got the story of star-crossed enemies to lovers Caledon Holt and Shadow of the Honeyblade. We followed Caledon, destined to be the Queen's assassin, and Shadow, an assassin's apprentice, on their journey to save the land of Aventine. We saw their relationship develop, and a giant secret was revealed. In this follow-up, we finally get to see how it all plays out, and we get to learn more about their relationship and their destinies. In the riveting conclusion to Melissa de la Cruz's fantasy duet, love and magic are at war, and victory rests on a knight's edge. And now back to James again.
Oh no.
James, you're muted.
James, we can't hear you.
And that was because I forgot the turn off the mute button, as you do. So anyway, let's try again. Let's meet Noelle Lee. She plays cello. She's a little mean, but she doesn't care what other people think about her. At school, she has her squad of 3 friends, and together they're known as the Fly Girls. But things get complicated when Noelle realizes that she might have feelings for one of the other Fly Girls, Tobin. And when Noelle's bad attitude starts getting worse, she'll have to figure out if working hard even matters, as she struggles to keep her life from falling apart. This is the 3rd book in the Fly Girls series by Ashley Woodfolk, and if you're a fan of contemporary YA, it needs to be on your TBR. Next up, we have Liana to take us back into fantasy.
Okay, so with 2 princesses on the run, the Queendom of Marr is on the brink of a revolution in the sequel and thrilling conclusion to A River of Royal Blood fantasy duology. Princess Issa is a difficult, unremorseful captive, and Eva knows better than to trust her sister, but she wants to. Despite their history, Eva is convinced that to survive the growing unrest in the Queendom, she and her sister must make peace and finally take the ivory throne. A Queen of Gilded Horns by Amanda Joy is riveting. The world building continues to fascinate me, and we can't wait for you guys to read it. And now I'll pass it over to Amanda.
Hi again. So I'm going to tell you guys about House of Hollow. When my friends asked me to describe House of Hollow by Crystal Sutherland the other day, I came up with atmospheric fairy thriller. And I think it's a pretty good description. Another description I'd use is unputdownable because I stayed up way too late creeping myself out to finish this one. Taking place in a misty and scenic Scotland, House of Hollow tells the tale of the Hollow sisters. They disappeared off a street corner when they were young and returned 1 week later to the exact same spot, but no longer exactly the same themselves. Their blue eyes turned black, their hair turned white, and they were always, always hungry. Now, almost 10 years later, the eldest sister, Gray, has disappeared, and her 2 sisters embark on a journey to find her and maybe find out what happened to themselves all those years ago. And if you guys have had a chance to check it out, you still have a little bit of time. We have a great House of Hollow scavenger hunt running throughout the rest of this weekend. So go take a look and see if you can figure out where Grey Hollow went. And now passing it back to Liana for some historical fiction.
Yeah. So if you are a huge fan of the Titanic, like me, and you still cry at the end of the movie, even though you know exactly what's going to happen, or if you just love a good historical fiction rich with imagery and adventure and a slow burn romance, you need to get your hands on Stacey Lee's Luck of the Titanic next year. From the author that brought you The Downstairs Girl, Luck of the Titanic follows the story of Valora and Jamie Luck, two twin British-Chinese acrobats traveling aboard the Titanic on its ill-fated voyage. Val is on this ship for 2 reasons, but when the unthinkable happens, Val and her companions suddenly find themselves in a race to survive. This book had me at the edge of my seat, and I know you guys will love it just as much as we did. And now taking it over to Felicity.
All right, this one I'm so excited, and we are so close to a cover, so watch Penguin Teen because we're going to have one very shortly. But Perfectly Parvin by Olivia Abati. Parvin has just had her heart broken when she meets the cutest boy in her new school, Matty Fuemo. And the emphasis on Fuemo because he might be smoking hot cure to all her boy troubles. If Parvin can get Matty to ask her to homecoming, she's positive it's going to erase all the awful and embarrassing feelings he, who will not be named, left her with after the summer. The only problem is Matty is definitely too cool for the bassoon-playing, frizzy-haired, Cheeto-eating Parvin. Since being herself hasn't really worked out in the past for her, she's decided that that to be the girl that gets the guy, she should start acting like the woman in her favourite rom-coms. Those girls aren't loud, and they certainly don't cackle when they laugh, and they smile much more than they talk. Easy enough, right? But as Parvin struggles through her parent-mandated Farsi lessons on the weekend, a budding friendship with a boy she can't help but be her unfiltered self with, and dealing with the ramifications of the Muslim ban on her family in Iran, she realizes that being herself might just be the perfect thing after all. Perfectly Parvin is laugh out loud funny and the rom-com for the 21 that you must have in your TBR. I'm going to throw it back to James with some more news.
Next up, we have We Are Inevitable, which is Gail Forman's next big YA book. And if you're watching our preview show right now, you essentially need to add it to your TBR because it's written especially for book lovers everywhere. Aaron used to think books were miracles, but not anymore. His family has fallen apart, and now it's just him and his dad and the secondhand bookstore that they run in a small mountain town where no one seems to read anymore. That last part absolutely breaks my heart. Aaron wants nothing more than to sell their bookstore, but with the help of a few friends and the support of the local community, maybe he won't have to. Because, as any book reader will tell you, don't give up on your shelf. And next we have Amanda to take us through another contemporary.
So we just spoke with David Yoon about how exciting fake dating is as a book topic. So what happens when a popular girl in high school wakes up after a party to remember that she kissed her best friend's boyfriend the night before? Well, in Heartbreakers and Fakers, you guessed it, the answer is fake dating. In the new sophomore novel from rom-com queen Cameron Lunn, Penny and Kai decide that after they make out at a party and get dumped, the best way to save their relationships is to convince their friends that they're actually dating and have real feelings for each other. After all, no one can resist a good love story, and maybe seeing Penny and Kai together will make their exes change their minds. But what happens when those fake feelings become real feelings? You can maybe guess where this one is headed. It's a rom-com gem that just doesn't disappoint. And now over to Liana for some sci-fi.
Okay, so I know I said I was really excited about the other books, and I am. We have such a great list here, but I cannot wait to tell you about this one. Devil in the Device is the thrilling conclusion to Laura Beth Johnson's Goddess in the Machine duology. If you haven't read Goddess in the Machine, I'll try not to spoil too much. After the jaw-dropping cliffhanger at the end of Goddess in the Machine, we continue right where we left off, with Zayd and Andra going down different paths. One on the road to destroy Aronson and its people, and the other trying to protect them. And as they battle the dangerous forces buried within their minds, Andra and Zayd must find a way to work together before it's too late. With danger on every page and a little romance in between, this is a perfect sci-fi read, and we cannot wait for you guys to read it next year. And then over to Felicity for our final title.
I have to admit, Liana, I am pretty excited about Devil in the Vice as well. I loved Goddess in the Machine. So if you're like me, who was left on a cliffhanger and just cannot wait, but I want to talk about Jessica Goodman, and for those of you who loved the debut thriller They Wish They Were Us that came out this year and is already being adapted into a TV series starring Sydney Sweeney and Halsey, her next book is already on the list and it's coming. Stella and Ellie Steckler are sisters, and they're only a year apart, but their personalities couldn't be more different. Stella is single-minded and she's driven and she keeps to herself, while Ellie is parties and goes out with friends, but both of them are very determined cross-country runners, and they're the best at the school. That is, until the new girl Miller Keene arrives, and both the sisters' lives are upended when Miller comes to town. She's the top runner on her team back home, and at first, Ellie and Stella view her as a threat, but soon, Ellie can't help but be drawn to her warm and charming personality. After her best friend moved away and her first boyfriend betrayed her, Ellie's been looking for a new friend, and in a moment of weakness, she shares even her darkest secrets with Miller. For her part, Stella finds herself noticing the way she and Miller are similar as well. Miller is smart, strong, she's someone that Stella can finally connect with. As the two get closer, Stella becomes something she vows she's never been: distracted. With the regionals approaching and the college scouts taking notice, the pressure is on. Each girl has their future on the line and they won't let their friendships get in the way. But then suddenly, Miller disappears on a training run and never returns. No one knows what happens, but all eyes are on the Steckler sisters. Which is just, if you know sisters, this is just fantastic. And Jess Goodman writes tense murder mysteries to watch. If you like Karen McManus, you need to be reading Jessica Goodman. And that is just some of the 2020 titles that we have coming up for you this year. Let me bring back everybody. Hi, everyone's back on camera now. I want to ask an important question that I didn't tell you I was going to do. From the books that you spoke about tonight, if you had to pick only one to take with you or keep with you, which one are you picking? James, pressure's on.
No pressure at all. I already know my answer, and that is Last Night at the Telegraph Club by Melinda Lowe is my ride or die for 2021.
I love it. So confident. All right, Liana, it's your turn.
I truly am not a fan of historical fiction. Like, that's not really the route that I go on, but Luck of the Titanic, it's It was so good. It was just so good. So that's definitely the one that that's my ride or die right now too.
Nice. All right, Amanda.
I think The Girls I've Been. It just really surprised me. It was really, really interesting and not quite like anything I'd read before.
Yeah, good one. And I had to give myself the same question. I am going to say Winterkeep is my favourite because it's like returning to the thing that you loved and missed and the old friend, and it's good. Like, that's that worry that when you're going back to something that you read so long ago, you may not love it. It's so good, and it's steamy. Like, so many people loved Graceling and Poe. I see the Poe fans out there for a specific reason. There is steam in this one too. So, yeah. And then I'm going to say for everyone watching, if you've got questions in the comments, I'm going to make my friends stick around with me for just a little bit longer so that if you've got any questions about any of the books upcoming, you can ask them now and we can do a quick answer. But while they're doing their questions in the comments, I want to know from everybody, what are you reading right now that you want to tell everybody about? And I'm going to go backwards and say, Amanda, what are you reading right now that you want to tell everybody about?
That I can tell everybody about.
I'm putting you on the spot too. I will admit I didn't prepare any of them for this. I'm always known to go a little rogue on a live, so.
Then I am reading The Hidden Knife by Melissa Marr.
Ooh.
It's middle grade, not YA, but it's a fantasy book that kind of reminds me of the Crestomancy series, in a world where gargoyles can talk. And it is really good so far.
Nice. And also, don't say middle grade like it's a bad thing. Middle grade's beautiful.
Oh, I just meant because we're having a teen talk right now.
YA readers have shown ourselves to be nothing if not we would adventurous. We will read anything. So middle grade is definitely acceptable. All right, Liana, what are you reading now that everyone needs to know about?
Well, it's actually a title that we talked about tonight. I just dipped into House of Hollow. I haven't gotten very far, but I'm already like obsessed with it. So that's what I'm reading.
Nice. No, it's very easy to be obsessed with that book. Very easy to be obsessed with that book. And James, what about you? What are you reading right now that you want everyone to know about?
So I am also in the middle of reading a book that we talked about earlier that Liana shared, Taste for Love by Jennifer Yen. I'm about halfway through, and it's taking me a little while to get through it. Not because I don't love it. I absolutely love it a lot. It's just making me very hungry, so I have to read it in spurts. It's actually, it is so much like The Great British Bake Off. And I also am the same way about GBBO because I can only watch episodes of the show while I'm eating something or right after I've eaten something. Because if I don't, I'm going to get very mad and very angry. So that's part of the reason why it's taking me so long to get through it. But loving it so far.
No, and I've read a partial of it, and I would 100% agree. It's a book that you either need to be eating or have eaten because it's just the food descriptions are so beautiful and so amazing that I wanted to order everything. I feel like we need to develop a menu for everybody when they're reading it that they can eat with. Okay, so some of the questions that are coming in, Storybook wants to know is, wondering if the books in the background have been read or not. And I'm assuming you mean my background because no one else is in front of their bookshelves tonight. I have read most of these. In fact, I, as you can tell from the Australian accent, moved to America about 3 years ago and had to get rid of an entire bookshelf. So this is me rebuilding my bookshelf. And part of that, yeah, I've read nearly everything on here. There's even cookbooks up the top. So I am a good person like that. Not that that's a bad thing, but like, yes, I have. Amanda, we can kind of see your bookshelf behind you in a bit of a blur. Have you read a lot of the stuff on your bookshelf?
I will say that I have not read a lot of these. I'm actually at my parents' house through Thanksgiving, so this is their bookshelf. So I've read some of them.
That's okay. And James, I know you have an amazing bookshelf. We've seen it on Record Reads on Penguin Teen. You've read most of your bookshelf, right?
If by most you mean 80%, but it's more than 50%. It's more than half. So
that's true. That's fair. That's fair.
All I'll say.
Liana, are you a bookshelf stacker of TBRs or are you a bookshelf stacker of I've read everything here?
Definitely TBRs. I remember at work, I would just collect an entire series that I would find like around the office and just put them in my desk, and I'll just be like, I'll get to it when I get to it. And it's just,
I think it's the dream.
Cycle.
It's every book nerd's dream. Also, the question: will there be arcs for House of Hollow? There are, and in fact, if you go to the comments below, you can enter to win an arcs of House of Hollow, and we're talking physical arcs, which are quite rare these days. And also Winterkeep, and also Electric Kingdom. So 3 of the titles we've talked about tonight. Down below, there's sweepstakes to win one of those. And we've also got some digital samplers in there as well to enter to win for titles that we didn't even talk about. There's some really good ones in there that like you need to have a little dip into because you'll just be like, yes, this is my new favourite thing. Who else? What other questions? Kat C is reading Red, White and Royal Blue, and she hasn't even finished it yet, but she knows she's going to give it 5 stars. And I think that I know James on this call is a fan of that book, as am I, and so I agree with that rating. Liana and Amanda, have you read Red, White and Royal Blue yet? Yes to Amanda.
Our shelf.
We've just talked about this. It is, I will say for everyone watching, it is an adult book. It's an adult novel, so just as an FYI, but it's delightful and lovely and all the good things. What else have we got? Let's scroll down. Have any of you read The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue? Is there any Addie LaRue readers on the call today? No one's read it. Okay, I'm reading Wicked Fox. She sees it on the shelf behind me, yes, and the sequel is there. Vicious Spirits. So good, so good. Scrolling down from everybody. Any more questions? You guys are all talking to each other. This is great. I love it. All right. I think, everybody, that is it. We've left some in the comments, places you can enter to win the sampler, places you can enter to win the record reads. Don't forget the cosplay competition. It's being judged by Saba Tahir, Renee Artier, and David Yoon. So if you're a cosplay of any book characters, or any characters at all, but we love book characters, feel free to use the hashtags on Penguin Teen. If you go to our Instagram page, all the details are there, and you can enter to win some very exciting books. I am going to go back to my Saturday night reading, which I'm going to show you all and make you all scream at me. This is the baby. She's big. She's beautiful. She's going to break everybody's hearts in the best possible way. The question in the comments is, are the giveaways for USA only? Unfortunately, yes, they are, and that is because legally we're not allowed to run giveaways in other countries due to international rules. So it's not because we don't want to; it's because we actually legally can't. But Sky, and also let's talk about the rest of the books coming out for the rest of this year. We've got Sky Beyond the Storm. We've got Everybody Just Mind Your Business. Okay, I can do it without this falling on top of me. Rebel Sisters. Which is the sequel to War Girls. Right there. This is beautiful too. And Tochi Onyebuchi, stunner in terms of his writing, the way he makes me just like think everything's going to be fine, and then it's really not fine at times. It's really not, Tochi, and you know what you did in this book. And obviously we had Dave on the show earlier, Super Fake Love Song. And then the other one, which is over here, which I'm just going to step across and get because I don't want to knock over my screens, is coming back into frame. This is How We Fly by Anna Marino, and it's basically if you're a Harry Potter fan and you can't read any more Harry Potter books because of certain reasons, this is a beautiful story about a girl who enters a Quidditch team and kind of finds a whole new friendship, a newfound family, and really gets to know herself as she's sort of facing big life changes at sort of that 18-year-old age. It's so fun, it's so delightful, and it's perfect. Comes out December 15th, so I can totally recommend this one. These are all the books still to come for this year. So we've done a bit of this year as well. All right, that has been our Spring 21 preview show. That is also, I believe, the conclusion of the Yale Right weekend of festivities and activities. We hope you had a good time on Penguin Teen. We hope you had a good time at Yale Right. Got to see your favourite authors, got to participate in panels, got to win prizes. And as always, make sure you stay with Penguin Teen. We've got a lot of prizes and giveaways coming up. Thanksgiving weekend is going to be pretty fun if you're following Penguin Teen. It's all I can say at the moment. But thank you for joining us, and we'll see you really soon. Thank you so much, everybody. Thanks, Amanda. Thanks, Liana. And thanks to James. Good night.